Mission: Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1 directly sets up the events of Mission: Impossible 8, and it debunks every theory about what characters will return in the process. Ethan Hunt and the IMF's mission to defeat Gabriel and the Entity was not entirely resolved by the time Mission: Impossible, Dead Reckoning's ending wrapped up. Ethan being in possession of the key gives him a leg up on his new villains, but it has come at the cost of Ilsa Faust's death and other allies no longer being by his side. All this helps set up what should happen in Mission: Impossible 8, but one specific moment has massive implications. The Mission: Impossible movies have become more connected through recent entries than the franchise was earlier on. This allowed Dead Reckoning to bring back several characters that audiences were already familiar with, namely Kittridge from the original 1996 film. The growing franchise connections and rising stakes that Ethan and the IMF are facing originally helped spark theories about how different characters could return to aid Tom Cruise's hero. There is no shortage of characters from past movies that are primed to come back in Mission: Impossible 8, but that does not appear to be in the cards. Mission: Impossible, Dead Reckoning teases Ethan must defeat the Entity alone. One key piece of setup for Mission: Impossible 8's story comes in Dead Reckoning Part 1's closing moments, as Kittridge's voiceover teases that Ethan Hunt will have to go solo to defeat the Entity. This is because the former IMF director believes that Ethan's desire to protect everyone closest to him is a weakness that the AI villain will continue to use to its advantage. This would mean breaking the Mission: Impossible franchise tradition of having an IMF team working alongside Ethan. That is a drastic step, but it is one that Dead Reckoning's ending effectively helps make a reality. By the time Mission: Impossible 7's credits roll, Ethan is left with only Simon Pegg's Benji Dunn by his side. Luther has gone offline to try and figure out how to beat the Entity, Ilsa Faust is dead, and Grace is now with Kittridge. Since Benji is more comfortable being by a computer instead of in the field, it will be quite easy for Mission: Impossible 8 to progress on this setup and have Ethan be truly alone. Kittridge's assessment of Ethan's greatest weakness and strength is correct in terms of what it will take to defeat the Entity, and that creates further repercussions. Ethan's Mission: Impossible 8 story means no more returning characters. Ethan needing to act alone in Mission: Impossible 8 means that the sequel does not have a clear path to feature more returning characters. With Luther, Ilsa, and Grace out of the equation for various reasons, it would have made sense for Ethan to reconnect with some former allies and replenish the wealth of resources around him. This would have been an easy way for Mission: Impossible 8 to explain various previous franchise stars joining the sequel's cast and returning to prominence. It is known that Mission: Impossible 8 will bring back some franchise veterans, but the cast list is primarily made up of those who appeared in Dead Reckoning Part 1. The only former franchise actor confirmed to appear who was not in Dead Reckoning is Rolf Saxon, returning as William Donlow from the first movie, paying off the tease of his next assignment. It's also been teased that Angela Bassett's Erica Sloane will be back. However, neither of these characters would be coming back to work directly alongside Ethan. Which Mission: Impossible characters still need to return? The possibility of Mission: Impossible 8 not bringing back more characters for what could be the franchise's final movie is disappointing considering the many options at its disposal. The biggest missing character is Jeremy Renner's William Brandt. After being seen as Tom Cruise's Mission: Impossible replacement, he only made 2 appearances and has been left out of the last 2 sequels. There is plenty of interest in seeing Renner return to the franchise and get a substantial role once again. However, that's more difficult to accomplish if Brandt's return cannot come as a way to help Ethan. Mission: Impossible 8 is also a place that could have brought back other characters missing from Mission: Impossible 7. Thandai Newton's Naya, Paula Patton's Jane, and Maggie Q's Zhenlei are but a handful of former allies who could be useful allies for Ethan when it comes to taking down Gabriel and the Entity. Any of them could help fill the void left by Ilsa Faust's death. Unfortunately, Mission: Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1's tease could mean that all of these great characters are left out once again as Ethan attempts to save the world on his own.